Welcome back to the Doug and Commish show. We are at our question and answer time.
Love this time, Doug.
One of our most popular segments that we have. And we got a bunch of questions that have come through, so we'll have to get right through them.
It's time for the deuce.
It is time for the deuce. Deuce, if you could give us
Deuce is here.
Our first question. Deuce, go ahead.
I'm going to open it up right from where I thought we were going to leave off in the last segment. And a digger from Idaho brings up an interesting question that was big on the message board this week.
Okay.
And he wants to know what's the truth behind the rumors of the realignment of our divisions.
Well, I'll let the Commish handle this one because
his name is Digger?
Digger, I think.
Yeah, I'll let the Commish handle this one. This is his. He's ultimately in charge of the league. So what do you think? I mean, everybody's complaining about the whole Knoll division and how winless they have been lately. What do you think?
Well, I've got mixed reactions and thoughts on that. And stop me when I talk too much.
I will.
It's not all the time that the Knoll's going to blow, right? It's just like years upon years. It's not forever going to be. Eventually, there will be like 3 good teams in the Knoll, or maybe even all 4 will be average. So it's going to even out.
Okay.
I, for one, am against realignment. I think that we could do something with the schedule to maybe go, to mix up the schedule where it's not division and then outer division and then division again. We could mix that up, but you don't see like the Lions and Bears going to the AFC West.
Yeah.
And I like keeping it, structured and stability. I like having stability there.
But could you tell the fans when was the last time that you remember 2 Knoll teams making the playoffs?
Ooh. Well, like I said, over a long period of time, eventually, luck has to hit.
Did Doughboy didn't make it last year or 2 years ago?
No, I don't think
So
so.
I think Chapman's been in it 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to go.
Right,
there.
eventually.
Right.
Somebody has to come from the Knoll.
Yeah. Well, regardless, so you don't see it happening in the near future.
I don't see it happening in the near future,
But if people voted on it,
it would definitely be something that we'd have to look at and talk about for sure.
all right. Next question.
This one's interesting because it comes from one of our new followers.
Okay.
And really, we're not making this one up. It's at Got Gout.
Gout.
They must love what we got going on the Twitter there.
Yeah.
And it's a question for the Beans, obviously. And he wants to know is the Beans' love for Tebow affecting his GM skills?
Well, first of all, there's seriously somebody that follows us on Twitter that is at Gout.
We believe so.
At Got Gout.
Gout.
Look it up, folks.
Fantastic.
Wow, that is awesome. Tebow. You know how I feel about the Tebow, but that's not the question.
That's not the question.
The question was, is your borderline awkward love, we'll put it, awkward love for Tim Tebow, going to affect your GM skills? Boy, that's a good question. Because Tebow completed 1 pass last week and still got 16 fantasy points.
Okay, that's not factually correct, but okay.
And if he could have completed some of the super wide open guys instead of throwing it out of bounds 8 or 9 times, he could have had 30 fantasy points.
Okay.
So I'm going to say no, it doesn't affect it because I don't think it's a horrible fantasy play.
Okay.
So I'm going to go, Mr. Gout, I'm going to say no. Doug is okay to play Tim Tebow without it affecting his fantasy GM skills.
All right. For the record, 2 touchdown passes. 2 touchdown passes. So he at least completed 2 passes.
So he had two for 36.
And a run.
Next question, Deuce.
This is from I sit comfortably in dress pants. Question for the Sass.
It's weird.
He wants to know what is the truth behind the 5-game winning streak. Is this legit?
Oh boy, you want to help me out on this one because
I'll say
he's
this.
in my division, and I don't want to say anything that will be bulletin board material here.
I don't know. I think it's real because obviously he's beaten some decent teams along the way.
Play the Knoll.
But that said, this week he has a very tough matchup against Paper, and he's got some bye week issues. I think we'll really find out this week for sure what's going to be taking place as far as Sass is concerned. But really, last week, when you look at his team and the numbers that he was able to put up, quite unbelievable. putting up 108 with Schaub and Jennings, but Jennings is going to be out, and Atlanta's I think has a bye week too this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, only time will tell. But I think right now he seems legit actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't put this week against him. He's going to get his face beat in this week. The show has his entire roster all set, no bye week issues, and Sass, who's not as good as him with all of his team, is missing some key elements. It's not going to be a good week for Sass, so I don't look for 6. But he's something to deal with. He's really done well since getting off to that bad start.
Deuce me.
Interesting. Next question from at Sensitive Feelings. I think this is more directed towards the Knoll division in itself.
At sensitive
feelings.
At sensitive feelings.
Interesting.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Yes.
When are the Knoll teams going to stop living in the past and just flat out start winning?
Oh, wow. Well, they do like to live in the past. We've had a couple of verbal threats from Doughboy to the Bean even tonight when Doughboy finally got online, and I'm secure enough to know that he won't watch this video. And he threatened the Bean, saying, "I'm a champion, I've done this, I've done that, and the Soldier's done this, and the Soldier's done that."
Yep.
But the real question is, what have you done for me lately? And what you've done for me lately is a 9-game losing streak, right?
16.
16-game losing streak.
9 was a couple months ago.
Wow.
Sensitive feelings. I don't know. I mean, you get tired of hearing about this whole, I won a championship last year, so it's okay now that I lose everything. I don't agree with that mentality, but, they are champions here and there, so you got to give them their credit for being a champion, but that doesn't, like you said, that doesn't do anything for your matchup this week.
Yeah.
So, hopefully soon, at Sensitive Feeling, hopefully soon, for the sake of the credibility of the Knoll.
All right, last question.
And I think this is a great question to end this on. It comes from at Lincoln Log, so I'm guessing this is going towards the toilet. Just a guess.
Lincoln Log.
He wants to know the purpose behind this recent trade for McFadden. Is it next year? Is it he thinks he has a shot this year?
Boy, we got some smart fans out there. Got some really smart fans. I'm going to say that this is a perfect trade, or at least 2 perfect people to be trading. You've got Trash sitting there at 3 and 4 in 3rd place, 8th overall. 3rd in the division, 8th overall. He's got to make a move.
Yep.
And he didn't want to get rid of McFadden.
No.
But he had to get people that are going to be playing this week, and then McFadden might have went into next week injuries. And then DJ, he's been out of it now for 6 weeks. He's got, no real reason to keep all those guys that have no keeper value.
Do you think that Trash was thinking, I'm going to give Darren McFadden to the team that scares me the least next year as keeper value?
I mean, I'm sure that played a small role, but knowing Trash like I know Trash, he's not a loser. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't like being under 500.
Yeah.
He wants to get into the playoffs, keep that streak rolling, and maybe get lucky and win a championship. That's what he wants to do. So if that meant getting rid of DMAC, which we talked earlier about the rift they had, that's why he did it. But now, if you look at toiletries, caller, texter, Twitterer, DeMarco Murray is a 10th round keeper value next year, and McFadden is a 9th. So even if DJ has another horrible draft, we can look at it and say automatically he's got 2 starting running backs starting next year.
That's assuming that DeMarco Murray's worth something, though.
It is, but
he did play.
You're right.
Keep in mind. I mean, who he played.
As a side point, I wonder if this trade is solely to keep Trash in the playoff hunt because he is just holding that over so many people for so long.
Oh yeah,
that he will do anything.
I sometimes wonder why anybody would even trade with him to try to make him better. Exactly. And I've made that mistake.
We all have.
It's dealing with the devil.
I don't know exactly what that means.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with our Week 8 preview.